So when we don't have the deferral of gratification, we don't know what else to do. The only thing we can even perceive is to have as much pleasure in the moment as we can, to get as much dopamine running through our brain as we can in the moment. And that's very, very destructive. It gives you essentially no choice but to go and smoke a million cigarettes, do weed and drink and I mean, these things, I don't think they're ethically evil, and I don't think that they are necessarily wrong in all circumstances, but definitely the main reason that we do it is to get this dopamine in the brain and to feel this short-term happiness. And the reason that it's not a real happiness, the reason that doesn't stick, is because it's just chemicals running through the brain, essentially. I think true happiness is something much more. It's our response to virtue, and it's our response, which is a response to reason. But we can have the reason without virtue. We need the deferral of gratification in order to be happy. And it's interesting. Without this, nothing makes sense. It's like, why not party every night? Why not fuck that chick? And why not, this and that? Eat 1,000,000 pounds of chocolate, And I think we all have deferral of gratification in different areas of our life that we learn them as children. Maybe sexually, maybe eating-wise. If your parents were health nuts, you're probably not going to eat 1,000,000 pounds of chocolate every day, other than how impossible that is. 1,000,000 pounds, that would be quite the meal. I'll tell you what, if anybody could eat 1,000,000 pounds, that would be interesting. Water. Anyway, so, I mean, I think that's it. I think that's really the end of the topic. That's why we do things that are so destructive. Now, for physically hurting ourselves, I don't know where that comes from. That's something I'd like to explore more, because I wouldn't think that would have that would cause us to have large amounts of reward centers. So maybe that's something entirely different. Like to physically hurt yourself, to cut yourself, or I would assume that's something entirely different. So that's probably not a good one to put in this category. But things like drugs, things like sex, things like eating, lots of different things, they make us feel good for a little while, and you can, when your brain is rushed through all this dopamine, you can forget about the real bad stuff going on in your life overall. And it's really sad, and I think the only way to cure that is through reason, through rationality, to look at the things in your life with a rational perspective and say, this thing feels really good, but if I keep doing it like this, it's going to be extremely destructive. And I think that working on the deferral of gratification is something that can be extremely helpful in everybody's life. And I'm definitely working on it. I'm not going to say I'm some sort of guru, because I'm nowhere near a guru when it comes to deferral of gratification. I'm still a smoker, for instance. Like I said, I just started running, so I have a little bit of a belly. I have a little bit of a belly. I don't think I'm unhealthy in that regard, but I definitely have a little bit of a belly. And it's a little, I weigh a little bit more than I'd like to, and it feels good to eat. So it's definitely a challenge for me to get up and run every day in the morning, and it's definitely a challenge for me to do things like yoga and different activities. But I definitely feel good for doing it in the long. I definitely feel a long-lasting happiness that I'm actually doing things that I want to, which I think goes far beyond dopamine. I don't know what happens in the brain when you do these long-term gratifications, but you just feel a lot better about yourself. And I think that's it. So have a good day, have a good whatever, take it easy, and bye-bye.